Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. We're your hosts, Logan and Luke Lazarchik. Today, Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. A pretty good week for Luke in the betting spectrum of this week in the NFL. It was about to be disastrous, even though the aftermath of the celebration was a bit disastrous as well. Luke's final leg winning after the Commanders' Hail Mary play successfully worked. I mean, us two and a couple of our buddies were there. Luke was emphatically going nuts, and it was pretty fun because we were all messing with him before the play because it was like, this isn't going to happen, and he'll lose his bet. It was a final leg too, but Luke, I know you were talking about how it's not good that your day was massively affected just by that one play. Like it turned from really bad to a pretty good Sunday.
No, yeah, it's not good that betting has that much of an effect. It's not healthy, but you know what? It hit, and I'm happy. So that's all that matters now. That's all that matters now. The Washington won, and you know what? They played a lot better than the Bears. They were the better team.
And we'll talk about that game here shortly. This week's episode, we're going to talk about a few games from Week 8, and we're also going to do a couple of fun exercises. One, we'll be evaluating the best team with each win total, and then we'll briefly talk about the NFL trade deadline, what we expect, and if you want to give a prediction, we can also give a prediction or two. But I think we should just talk about what types of things we expect as a trade deadline nears, because we've already seen multiple deals occur. So it's just about what do we expect. I saw the Chiefs were talking, or they're exploring getting another corner, which I thought was pretty interesting. And we'll go more in depth into that later. And then, of course, we'll close out the episode with our Week 9 picks. So let's start with the game that occurred almost a week from today, last Thursday. The Rams and the Vikings. Rams win 30-20. The first few drives, none of the teams could really stop each other. I think it was 14-14 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. And I think each team scored on each of their two drives. For you, and the Vikings also lost Christian Darrisaw for the season.
But they traded for Cam Robinson.
They did trade for Cam Robinson. One, how optimistic should the Rams be? And two, how worried are you about the Vikings, if at all?
I'm not too worried about the Vikings. I mean, I don't think we truly thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. Probably still won't. But, I mean, Sam Darnold, he looks human, but he doesn't look bad. So that's good. And then the defense is kind of having some struggles. Quarterbacks who are able to laser it more down the middle are finding a lot more success. And it turns out they're going to face one of those again after Anthony Richardson got benched for Joe Flacco. So that's kind of a bad break for them. But I still feel fine about them. On the Rams side, you got to feel good. I think really the offensive line's playing better. And now that you have Puka and Cooper Kupp, and it looks like you won't trade Cooper Kupp. I mean, this is a team who, they have a shot at the division. I'm still going to take the Niners in the division. I still trust in the Niners. They should get McCaffrey back. And the wild card's kind of nuts, but they're fully back into playoff mode. And we'll see what happens. Big game against Seattle. Big game. I think if you lose Seattle, I think you get back on the possibly trading Cooper Kupp train, but I feel good about them. I feel good. Not great, but good.
Yeah, I think the Rams, I predicted them to win the division before the year started, and then injuries kind of derailed that. But I think they're going to end up winning this division somehow. Each team in that division has 4 wins except them because they're the only team that's had a bye week this year. Mm-hmm. For me, the main worry I have about Vikings outside the left tackle position now is I think teams are starting to figure out that defense. There's kind of a blueprint for that defense now. If you can pick up the blitz, because that's what Brian Flores likes to do. If you can pick up their blitz as well, you can really exploit the back end of that defense. And I think that's kind of what's happened the last 2 weeks. They've given up 30.5 points on average the last 2 weeks. Now, it's the Lions and Rams. Two really good
very
offenses
tough competition.
And the Vikings this week play the Colts, who will now have Joe Flacco, so maybe a bit more challenging now that Richardson isn't playing. But I expect the Vikings to win that game. But yeah, the Vikings, and we've seen this before in history where they've started really hot and then they slow down and miss the playoffs. Now, I don't think that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But my main concern is just Sam Darnold, left tackle position, and will the defense keep this up? And has the defense been kind of solved?
Cam Robinson's a good left tackle, so I know it's not as good as Darrisaw because he's one of the best, but you picked up. I'm fine with their O-line. I'm not really concerned. It's just, yeah, the defense getting a little picked up. I mean, Sam Darnold's been good. I mean, almost beat the Lions. They hit a game-winning field goal, and then the Rams. He kind of slowed down the second half. The run game really got.
They only scored 2 field goals the rest of the game.
The run game got stopped, and that was a big thing. You lost Darrisaw, but now you have Cam Robinson. Need to spread the ball around more, I think. But you are getting Hawkinson back. I think that's underrated. No one's talking about. I mean, TJ Hawkinson is legit top 5 tight end in this league. We really break it down. It's somewhere around there. I mean, you got Kelsey still and Kittle and McBride and Bowers and Laporta, and he's right in there like with Laporta and McBride and Bowers. And if he comes in and he's back to himself, I think that's huge. But yeah, so I still like him a lot. Good team.
Yeah,
still.
I think they need another option at passing game because Addison hasn't really played that well. Naylor was really good the first few weeks, but he's kind of come back down to earth. They need another option behind Justin Jefferson because Jefferson, is all-world receiver, best receiver in the league. I'm just very curious and we'll see if they, and I think they win this week, but if they lose again this week, and that's 3 straight games, I think the panic alarms will be sounding if that happens. So I think big game this week for both teams. Specifically, I think more for the Rams though, because it's a divisional game. You need this. If you follow 3-5, I kind of agree with you that maybe they just trade Cooper Kupp. But I think at this point, I think they're going to ride this out with Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford this year, and I think they trade both those players during the offseason.
That's really realistic chance. They're a very interesting team because I think they could get rid of 2 of their most productive players in the offseason, and they pick up a quarterback that fits with McVay, and they could be just fine. So, really interesting stuff.
Next game, and we kind of mentioned this one earlier with Luke's bet. The Commanders beat the Bears 18-15. Hail Mary in the final play to win. I mean, for me, the Commanders, I thought, thoroughly outplayed the Bears in this game. I don't think it should have came down to a Hail Mary play. The Bears, I mean, Matt Eberflus after the game, like the 13-yard play before the Hail Mary, which I don't get why they had their defenders lined up 40 yards down the field, just giving them all those free yards. Like, just guard the perimeter and make them play. Because Jane Daniels has an oblique injury. I don't think there's any way he was going to get the ball that close to the goal line from where they were before that second to last play of the game.
No, yet the Bears are just. Oh my gosh, that's just. I mean, I'm happy about it for my bet and for our personal bet about the Vikings and Bears, so that helped. But I mean, it's what the hell? I mean, like that's the whole Tyreek Stevenson thing. I mean, that's just terrible. Just terrible.
Matt Eberflus even said on that Hail Mary play that all the players were in position, which wasn't even true because Stevenson's 15 yards from the play yelling at fans on the sideline. The whole thing just looks really bad. Like when you look at it and what the coaches say, it looks like Eberflus doesn't really know what he's doing as a head coach.
No, he's a good defensive mind, but then he has this. Oh, we don't need the 13 yards mean nothing. It's like, what do you mean? The quarterback currently is coming back from an oblique injury, which I think was affecting him a little bit. Even though I still think he played okay. I mean, a nice amount of yards and stuff. But it's like, 13 yards. The poor Bears fans. I mean, that sucks. That sucks. But you know what? Good for Commanders. They helped me win a bet. I've been saying it, and I think I was proven right in this game. Washington's defense is underrated. We all thought it sucked. I thought it sucked. Even they lost Jonathan Allen. I'm like, man, this may be the worst defense in football. And now you're looking at it. I know he's a rookie, but he was playing well. Caleb Williams sucked. He was terrible. He was
Now, I
garbage,
agree with you
and
that
he got massacred. He was like 4-13 at one point, looking like Anthony Richardson out here.
that's what I was about to bring up. Is I agree with you the defense is underrated, but it's not like that. Like that pass rush was getting to Caleb every single play, and I don't think they have this like really good pass rush. I think they are underrated defense at this point. I think I undervalued them and looked over them. But I think the pass rush, the fact that it got to Caleb almost every play, I think that speaks more about the Bears defense. And I'm not taking or Bears offensive line. Now I'm not trying to take away anything from the Commanders defense because I thought they played well overall. But if you're getting that much pressure with that defensive line, I think the Bears have a lot of issues. And it looked like the couple weeks prior they had figured out lean on the run game, get Caleb Williams in comfortable situations, and then they reversed right back to where they were before the bye week.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, the line's not great, but I mean, Washington has 21 sacks in the year, and they only had 2 against the Bears. So I mean, they're solid defense all around. I Washington. I mean, if they go trade for a receiver, I know like Deontay's gone and went to Ravens, which I think is big. And then there's probably no Cooper Cup, so it's like Mike Williams and stuff. But I truly think Washington's like a receiver away from saying title NFC title game, them and Lions type of stuff. I think they're that good, and I think Daniels is that good.
Yeah, and I think the Bears also like the play calling during the game was also terrible. Like on the final drive, they ran 2 QB draws when you need a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's like why are you trying to set up a fourth down play using a QB draw when you know you have to get a touchdown? Like they got bailed out by a pass interference call that let them score the game leading touchdown at that time of the game. And then the drive before that, they had a chance to take lead and they ran a fullback dive with offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a third string offensive lineman. Like I don't know what the Bears. I mean, I thought before the season they should have moved on from Eberflus, get an offensive coach to pair with Caleb Williams,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what they're going to do this offseason. But like
I
even if they
bet.
make the playoffs, I think they move on from Eberflus just because of these schematical things and all that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Next game, and this was one. The Ravens are very like we're not even Ravens fans, and they're a very frustrating team to watch, just because I don't think they utilize all their strengths that they can. Browns upset the Ravens 29-24. James Winston throws 3 touchdowns. Probably should have also had 4 picks, but he finished the game with 0 picks. Clean slate.
Mm-hmm.
What was your main takeaway from this game? Is this more about the Browns, or do you have any concerns about the Ravens? Because I know we've disagreed about the concern level of certain things in the Ravens team.
The Ravens screw up against the Browns all the time. I mean, even just Deshaun Watson last year, his last game, he was like 14 for 14 in the game against the Ravens. So the Browns have this weird thing, and the Ravens dropped a pick to win the game. I mean, Kyle Hamilton had it in his hands, he dropped it. So for me, this is just a one-off with the Ravens. It's a bad game. They'll bounce back. They traded for Deontay Johnson, so now you have a 1, a 2, and a 3, and 2 tight ends, and a solid line, and MVP quarterback, best running back in football. So they're fine. It's really about the Browns, and the Browns have now this rejuvenated life. And if you look at with Jameis Winston, if you look at the wild card, it's not that tough. I mean, if you hit a hot streak and they play the Chargers, who are the 7th seed right now. If you win that, you're game back of the wild card spot. And it's like win the next game, get a little lucky. It's like all of a sudden in 2 weeks, you're in the wild card spot. So I think this is really about the Browns, who can now have a chance to sneak into the playoffs. Jameis has a chance to pull Geno Smith, rejuvenate his career. They have a very interesting schedule because you have Chargers, bye, then Saints, but then you have Pittsburgh, Denver, Pittsburgh. Those are teams with good stuff, but very beatable. Then Chiefs, Cincy, Miami, Baltimore. So tough for. I mean, they're an interesting team right now. I'm very intrigued with what's going to happen with Cleveland, and I don't even know. I don't have it, but it's very interesting.
Ravens are going to win the AFC North. I believe that they're going to be a perennial AFC playoff team. My concerns are still about this defense, and in close games they go away from Derrick Henry. So I wrote down these stats. So it was 10-6 at halftime in this game. Do you want to know how many carries Derrick Henry had in the first half? And maybe you already know.
I don't know.
He had 5 carries. It's 10-6, and he has 5 carries in the game, and 2 of those came on the first drive of the game. And not to mention, he didn't even get the first carry of the game. The first play the Ravens had was a run. It was to Hill. That's one of my concerns. And I like two things to be true. Derrick Henry's a great running back, and he leads the league in rushing. But the Ravens also at times neglect to use him. Another concern I have.
Can't you make the argument that one, you want Lamar to pass it more, so in the playoffs he's better.
That's fine,
and two, do you really want to kill Derrick Henry right now? He's
I'm
on
not
pace
saying
for
that,
he's
but-
on pace for 2,000 yards, Logan.
Okay.
So no matter what we want to say,
I just said two things can be true.
I know, but I think it's
okay.
Okay. I think it's okay if they try to pass the ball more.
My next point is kind of intersects with the first point. This defense is not good. I don't care what you say. I don't care what the culture is.
It's not great. I agree.
I'm gonna read you here's the ranks this. I'm gonna read you about 6 stats, and also the ranks in the league. So opponents' points per game is at 26.1, which is 26th in the league. Opponents' total yards per game is 361.3. That's 25th in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Opponents' passing yards per game, 291.4, last. Opponent's third down percentage, 46.7. That's 29th. So about half the time when you have a third down against the Ravens, you're picking it up. Opponent's passing touchdowns allowed, 17, tied for last. Opponent's passer rating, 103.4. That's 30th.
Mm-hmm.
And opponent's 20-plus yard plays allowed. They've allowed 40 20-plus yard plays in the league. That's last.
No, they definitely have problems.
So you can tell me they have a defense culture, which is true. That doesn't mean that their defense is going to figure things out where it's good. Like right now, their defense is terrible. They gave up 23 second half points in this game, and that's why I'm talking about the run game. Is your pass defense is kind of laying up a lot. You have Derrick Henry. Lean on him a bit more. 11 carries is not enough, and we've seen this throughout the year. They go away from Derrick Henry in close games. You saw that in Week 1 against the Chiefs. They ran right down the Chiefs' throat in the first drive. Didn't really use him the rest of the game. So for me, I still think the Ravens are going to win the AFC North. They're going to be a high seed in the playoff picture. I'm just worried that this is what's going to come back to bite them is themselves by not utilizing their best weapons.
I still think having Lamar throw more and get more reps and become better and better, that's the ultimate goal. And you're 5-3, and you're going to win the North. So if you play around a little bit, I think it's fine. Also, if you look at the defense, they're 4th in sacks. So they have a pass rush. They have talent in the secondary. It's not been great, and I don't think it's great. But you can also argue those stats are inflated by Dallas in their game. I mean, they had like 3 points, and then Tampa was doing nothing, even though Tampa did get injuries and affect it. But they were doing nothing for 2 quarters until the 4th. I still think it's Baltimore, and having a lot of concerns about the Baltimore Ravens, who have a lot of talent, and I just think it's over-concerned when they have a rusher who's going to get 2,000 yards and a quarterback who's playing like the best quarterback in football. They lead the league in rushing, lead the league with the 452 yards per game, second in points scored. They're great third down efficiency. They have some holes on defense, but they're still a top team who last year was a stupid Zay Flowers play away from potentially going to the Super Bowl, and they're better, and they just traded for Deontay Johnson. But the Chiefs are better. So obviously with the Ravens, it all comes down to the Chiefs game. Whenever they face Chiefs in playoffs, this all comes down to. So I think these concerns in the regular season that you have are kind of overstated. It all comes down to facing the Chiefs, or if they can get lucky and the Bills knock off the Chiefs. So I'm okay with them still. It's a divisional game. You have bad games.
Oh yeah, but this is a recurring. This isn't just a one-time thing like you were saying. They did this against the Raiders as well. Like this is, and
yeah, that's
that,
week 2 of the season. And
okay, but
they had a bad game, and they also
second half points. They're allowing over 20 points a game.
No, yeah, they need to work on the second half points, but I'm still not concerned about them.
And these losses they're suffering. I mean, this could cost them positioning in the AFC playoff picture. Like right now, let's say they were winning the division right now. I mean, they'd be the 3 seed right now, but they're not winning the division. They could slip to a 3 or 4 seed by the time the season ends. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if they turn things around defensively, but that's just kind of how I'm looking at it. Is they've lost 2 games they definitely shouldn't have lost, and that may come back because right now you have the Bills playing well. Texans, we'll talk about them in the Week 9 picks. They're struggling with injuries and all that, so maybe they slip a bit. but their division is pretty.
But
I
just
wouldn't say locked
okay,
up, but
you have all these concerns about the Ravens, but you seem pretty fine with the Texans, who have still not shown
I was
like
about to
any
say
sign
because
of
I was about
life.
to say because of before you interrupt me, I was about to say because of the division they're in, it's a much weaker division, so they should have more comfortable ability winning that division and earning one of these top 4 spots.
But
Their
that's
division is
not
very
my
weak.
point. It's not about spots for me. Like I don't think the Texans' offense is playing well at
No, no,
all.
I absolutely understand that concern. That's also a
And
concern of mine.
that's much
Without
more
Stephon Diggs and
concerning than
Nico,
anything with the Ravens. And it's not well, even when you had Nico, it wasn't great. It was better, but it wasn't great with Nico. You beat the Colts when you had week 1, but I mean it's Anthony Richardson. Didn't do well against the Bears. Minnesota kicked your ass. Jacksonville, you had a game-winning touchdown. Buffalo, Josh Allen threw under 33%, or like, and you barely won, and then you scored on New England. Congrats. There's like just so many more concerns about the Texans, but you're over focusing on Baltimore, who's been to the title game last year and just made a good trade.
no, the trade I think it was like for football, like we play fantasy football. Fantasy football, it's not. I think it kind of
I
eats
mean,
into
yeah.
everybody's production, but I think for a football point, it's a really good trade.
No, yeah, but but that's not the point. Is you're much more concerned about the Ravens than the Texans, and the Texans are much more concerning
Okay,
just because they've.
but it seems like you have zero concerns about the Ravens, even though I
I
said
don't have
like
zero.
those
It's just
stats.
they're still the second best team in the AFC to me. I don't think Bills
I
are
mean,
close. I just don't think it matters a ton. And in the playoffs, it's about them and the Chiefs, not when they screw up against the Raiders and the Browns and they drop a pick. And it's just like, if they don't drop that pick, they're like, okay. So I'm not that concerned. I'm concerned about the Texans who haven't looked good in a single game to my eye. Not one game have I been like, that's a good team. They've had a easy schedule. And the two good teams they face, well, I guess Buffalo, but Josh Allen was just horrendous. The two teams they faced who were playing well beat them, and Minnesota beat the hell out of them
yeah, I
with
mean,
Nico.
I get what you're saying there. Let's move on to our final matchup. We'll talk about another AFC North team. Eagles beat the Bengals 37-17. Bengals looked really good at the beginning of the game, scoring the first drive. It looked like they were going to play a typical Cincinnati offensive game, and then it kind of fell off throughout the rest of the game. How concerned are you about the Bengals? And is this win change your mind about anything about the Eagles, or is it just another the Bengals don't beat good teams; they only beat bad teams?
I mean, I predicted Eagles to win, and I said it's going to be because of Saquon Barkley, and it was because of Saquon Barkley. I mean, this doesn't really change anything. The Eagles, I think I'm starting to get more positive on them because like the defense did play pretty solid after the bad start. So I'm feeling better about the Eagles. But Cincinnati, I feel the same. I mean, I don't think they're that good. Um, Jamar Chase hasn't had this. I mean, it's weird because he's like leading the league in receiving, but he's had a lot of meh games. It's really weird.
Well, has he
And
scored a touchdown in like? I feel like he scored a touchdown like 4 or 5 straight games.
no, he scored a touchdown in 5 of 6 games. But it's weird.
Five,
He's
six
leading
games.
league receiving, but his impact just doesn't seem the same. It's so weird. But they can't run the ball, and the defense sucks. And they're not that talented. I was saying this at the beginning of the year when people are saying they can win the division. It's like, show me the talent. That it's Burrow and his 2 receivers. I mean, that's what they are. I mean, they're 29th in sacks, and Trey Hendrickson has 7 sacks, and they have 12 sacks. The rest of the team has 5 sacks. They suck. They are not good. I fault bad owners not paying players and just thinking you're going to ride everything with Burrow and Chase and Higgins, and they're not. I mean, I remember it was like 2 weeks ago. I said Denver was a better team than them, and you kind of scoffed at it. Denver is a better team than them. Since he's not making the playoffs in my eyes, Joe Burrow has to play like and Joe Burrow's played well too. He's been very good, and they're 3-5, and I don't trust them. I mean, their defense has let them down. They can't run the ball.
I was about to ask you if you think they make the playoffs because I'm looking at the playoff picture right now, and I don't like they're not going to the division at this point. The two teams in front of them are the Colts and the Chargers, which Chargers can definitely Charger things, and the Colts, who knows? Now, maybe Colts are much better because they're going to turn Joe Flacco, but I still think there's a chance that they sneak their way into the final wild card spot. Now, you made up good point. You brought up good points about defense doesn't really generate any pass rush outside Trey Hendrickson. They have no run game. It's heavily dependent on Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, who's now missed a few games because of soft tissue injuries that he suffered. I still think there's a world where they sneak into the playoff picture because
No, there is a world. I just don't think it happens.
I think it's going to be between them and the Chargers for that final spot. Because the Colts right now, a lot of things you bring up about the Bengals, the Colts have the same issues. Really bad defense. Now they have many more weapons, a much stronger run game. But I think I'm going to trust Joe Burrow more than Joe Flacco when it comes down to the rest of the season. Now that defense has to hold up because I think the Bengals are averaging. If I pull up their stats real quick, I mean they're averaging almost 25 points per game, which is 10th in the league. Which is not. It's not like they're lighting the world up on fire because there's these games against good teams where they struggle. But I still think they have a chance of making the playoffs. And if I had to make a pick today, I mean, part of me still doesn't trust Denver entirely, but I think if they can win a couple more games here in the next few weeks, they probably not lock up a playoff spot, but solidify a playoff spot. But part of me, the bottom of the AFC playoff picture outside of Baltimore in that wild card spot, I really don't trust. So I think Bengals still have an opportunity to save their season.
Well, I still think there's teams under. I mean, I still think Cleveland now with Jameis again. Cleveland Chargers is huge. It changes the trajectory of so much. I think that's honestly the biggest game of the week.
But Cleveland against Chargers?
Yeah, and then
but I don't trust Miami.
I think Miami still has a shot. It's not great.
I mean,
if Jets can pull off Thursday, they have a shot. And who do I think is better, Jets or Cincy? I don't know. I probably take Cincy, but barely.
I don't trust the Jets to string enough games together.
I mean, this is their chance. Thursday's their end all be all because Houston is hurt. Houston hasn't been that good. You got to win this game if you're Jets. But if Jets win the game and then they beat Arizona and then they have a big game against the Colts, and
to me, I think the AFC is going to come down to 9 teams. I think there's 9 teams left for the play. I don't trust Cleveland. Yeah, they beat Baltimore. Let's see if Jameis is still. There's a lot of turnover-worthy plays in that game they should have made. I don't think he's going to be playing clean football. They're 2-6. They have to be playing, and like you brought up, a very winnable schedule coming up, which I agree with. But I'm not going to trust Jameis. I'm not going to put any faith in Jameis that he's going to continue not turning the ball over. I mean, he could have easily had 3-4 picks in this game. So I don't know. For me, it's the 4 division leaders right now. Denver, Baltimore, Chargers, Colts, and Bengals. And I'm cutting it off after that. Dolphins, you play Arizona. They hadn't won back-to-back games of Kyler in 25 games, and you couldn't beat them. You're not. I don't think you're going to beat Buffalo. I don't think you're going to beat Buffalo. And they're going to be 2-6.
This week has a lot of defining games. A lot of defining games.
So Dolphins' next 2 games are on the road, at Buffalo, at the Rams.
You need to win one.
I don't know if you win any of those.
You need to win one because it gets a little lighter.
Well, it gets lighter for 2 weeks.
Miami. I'm not big on Miami making the playoffs, but you have a lot of these teams face each other, and that's the thing. I don't like Miami, but I give them a shot. And Cleveland actually has good defense.
I think so too. But when you're talking about Miami, they don't have really good.
Yeah, but they have so much talent. I'm still giving them a shot. No, they're below Cincinnati.
It's very similar to your Bengals argument. It's
I know.
Now they have
I know, but they have a shot, is what I'm saying. I don't think you could say Cincy has a 40% chance, and then say Miami has a 5% chance. I don't think it could be that far.
Well, a lot of what I'm saying is because of Bengals. I think. I also don't know. Dolphins, very winnable game. Now you have a really tough opponent. The next 2, I think they're going to be 2-7 by the time we.
I mean, yeah, if they're 2-7, it's done.
And I think that's what's going to happen. So I think
Jets, if they lose this Thursday, they're done. And Cleveland, if they lose the Chargers, they're done. So I could say this, and then those 3 teams can be basically out of it. or they can win. And so very defining week 9, because then we're at the trade deadline. And so, yeah, this week is going to define the AFC wild card, I believe.
Well, this kind of shifts right into our next conversation. So we're going to do an exercise where we evaluate the best teams with each win total. So we're gonna go from. You want to go from the bottom to the top, or
Yeah, let's start with the
all right? So we don't
bottom.
have to mention the Chiefs in this. They're the only 7-win team in the league, so we won't talk about them. So the 1-win teams, and this can be a quick conversation. This doesn't really need to be in depth. Titans and Panthers.
Titans have better defense, and each team's okay at running the ball, and Titans have been better at running the ball, so it's Titans.
Yeah,
And,
I'll take
and
Titans too.
Panthers just trade Deontay Johnson, and maybe we'll trade Adam Thielen.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy. I'll take Titans as well. 2-win teams, and this one's kind of interesting. Browns, Raiders, Jaguars, Patriots, Jets, Saints, and the Giants are the 2-win teams.
I was between two teams, the Browns and Giants, but I like the Browns defense enough, and they have a little momentum with them, so I took Browns over Giants. Giants have played a lot of teams close. It just can't seal the deal. I'll take Browns. I explained them already. I don't think Jameis is great, but he has this momentum and swing and Geno Smith, Joe Flacco type of stuff going on, possibly. So,
I mean, mine's probably Browns or the Jets. But like the Jets, I don't know. It's in this one. It's pretty clear to me. It's the Browns. I don't think there's much much argument for these other teams. I mean, Raiders, no. Jaguars, way too many injuries. Patriots, no. Saints, they've lost now 6 straight games. It's just like, and I knew that 2-0 start was so fraudulent. Like, I wish I just bet them not to make, because everybody was on the Saints after those first 2 weeks, and Derek Carr's going to Derek Carr, and he also got hurt too, which is kind of unfortunate for them. And then Giants, I just don't really trust Daniel Jones. So for me, it's the Browns and the Jets, and I'll take the Browns as well. The 3-win teams, this is actually, I mean, these 3 teams you would expect to be higher up in the win total.
mm-hmm.
Bengals, Rams, Cowboys. I also think this is another pretty easy slam dunk.
No, yeah. When I first came up with this idea, I'm like, oh, we're going to have very different opinions. The more I look at it, I'm like, we may pick the same team for every single one. Maybe. I got Rams. I mean, they got momentum. O-line's back, receivers back. So now I'm starting to think of them more how I was thinking about them early in the year. And Dallas isn't that good, and Cincy is not good at all. So
yeah, Dallas is the king of garbage time. Dak Prescott, that offense, king of garbage time. I'm also going to take the Rams. I think right now they're the most complete team of those 3. They have at least question marks. Their only question marks really were health, which is always a question mark when you have Stafford, Cooper Kupp. Mm-hmm. But they've kind of got some of their key players back. They still are missing 2 players from the interior offensive line, which if they can get those guys back, they could really be hitting on all cylinders. I think it's pretty easy here. I'll also take the Rams.
I think my one concern with them is like Kupp and Stafford could get hurt again. That's my one concern, but I'd still take that over anything else.
The 4-win teams: Chargers, Colts, Bears, Bucks, 49ers, and the Seahawks.
Hold on. I'm taking San Fran. I don't know who you're going to take, and I find that interesting, but I'm taking San Fran. You're going to get McCaffrey back, hopefully, after this bye. Hopefully for my fantasy team. Please, for my fantasy team. Please, Christian. And for our other fantasy team. I need CMC back in my life, and he's the best running back in football, I believe. And it's an argument between him and Derrick Henry. But if he comes out and he's Christian McCaffrey, then I just think it's like, okay, Niners are good. I mean, Debo played well before he got hurt, but he got hurt again. I mean, that's a concern. But Ricky Pearsall had a solid game. George Kittle was dominant. They even ran the ball with Isaiah Guerrero. So, yeah, I'm liking the Niners still. Defense is not great, but I'm liking the Niners.
Yeah, this one's probably between the Niners and Chargers. And Chargers don't have enough weapons to really put me over the edge of picking the Chargers. If the Chargers had or make a move at receiver, I may be more inclined to pick them, but I'm going to take the 49ers as well. I mean, Chargers, like I said, question marks on the receiver position. Colts, I just don't know. Bears, I think coaching kind of holds them back. Bucks are derailed by injuries, and Seahawks have not been. They've been way too inconsistent. So I'll take the 49ers. Now,
Mm-hmm.
on a 49ers schedule, their upcoming schedule is very tough. Like, if you look at it, it's a very tough schedule. Now, I'm trying to think who they played, or they're on a bye this week, but the next, like, 4 to 5 weeks, it's pretty tough for them. So they can't really afford to lose any winnable games that they should win. But I'll take 49ers in this
I
conversation.
mean, if they beat Tampa, who they should, because there's not going to be Godwin or Evans, and then you beat Seattle, who they should, because Seattle, the best team Seattle's beaten is Atlanta, and Atlanta play like garbage. They did beat Denver, but that was also Bo Nick's first start, so I don't think Seattle has a quality win. I guess Atlanta's a quality win, but that's the only one. But if you're 6-4 and then you face Green Bay, if you can beat Green Bay and then you have this huge momentum, it's some tough games, but you can pick up momentum. You're the Niners. I still like them.
5-win teams. I don't think this is really a conversation either, to be quite honest with you.
No, I
Broncos,
honestly
Ravens.
thought this was going to be much more compelling.
Yeah, when I was listening, like we're just gonna be picking the same teams. That's why I was kind of like iffy on doing this because Broncos, Ravens, Falcons, Vikings, Eagles. This is another easy one.
Yeah, it's Ravens. I explained why I like the Ravens. I don't explain it again.
Yeah, I think Ravens too. And then the 6
I thought this was going to be so much more compelling. And then I picked the teams, and I'm like, are we going to agree on every team? I'm just like, wow.
You probably just told me to cancel this.
But then I thought, what if you have interesting opinions? What if you picked the Chargers over the Niners, and then what if you picked the Jets, and then what if you still like Cincy over the Rams? And
well, 6-win teams, I think is also easy. Texans, Steelers, Bills, Packers, Lions, Commanders. I'm guessing we're both picking Lions.
Well, yes, we maybe should have done second best team because like the 6 wins. Okay, let's do this now. Second best team with 6 wins because you got Houston, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Washington, Packers. Now that's interesting. We should have done second best. That would have been good.
I'll probably take the Bills. I think Packers right now. Jordan Love's battling another injury.
Yeah, I take Bills too. Dang it!
I'll probably take Bills because of Josh Allen. So I'll take Bills as well.
I'll take Bills as well. Gosh, dang it! I really thought.
No, when you came up with this, I was kind of iffy on doing this.
I really thought. Okay, there's I don't know. There's interesting conversations to be had, but we just had the same. Man, I'm kind of disappointed because I really like the idea, but then I was like, I really hope we don't pick every team. Like you can even pick. I should have picked the Panthers. No, my boy Jalen Coker.
Okay, they're terrible.
That dude's gonna be a stud. I'm not gonna
like
lie.
5-win team. Okay, I think 5-win team for second place is pretty interesting.
Oh.
Broncos, Ravens, Falcons, Vikings, Eagles. We both already chose the Ravens.
Vikings, Eagles, Denver,
Falcons, and Eagles.
Oh, picking Minnesota still, but Philly is like.
I mean, you know how I feel about Broncos. I don't think they keep this up.
I do think Broncos had a very necessary game.
Like Bo Nix has played really well, but if you look at his games where he's played really well, it's against really bad teams.
No, yeah, he's not great, but he also doesn't have great weapons. It's good that he had a game where he got to face a bad team, and he got to just. I mean, they should have had 35.
I think it's between Vikings and Eagles for second place. I'll probably take Vikings because I still don't trust Eagles coaching.
Yeah.
But I think Eagles' talent is really good. Like if they had competent coaching, I think there's a chance they're probably an undefeated team. But I just don't think they have good coaching.
They do not.
So yeah, should we move on?
I'm looking at the 4-win teams real quick.
That's pretty anti. Well, I'm gonna actually. I mean, mine's either Bears or Chargers, but I'll probably take Chargers because of coaching. And I'll trust Justin Herbert.
I'll take Chargers too. What the hell? I'm upset with myself. Dang it! And I dropped my pen, and I had it. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the segment I came up with. So.
Very creative. I was trying to be creative.
NFL trade deadline expectations. So we're not going to make predictions, but we've kind of already talked about some teams. What is a team that you're looking at that needs to make a move, and at what position do they need to make a move at?
I mean, I feel like the receiver ones are kind of obvious. And teams have already gotten receivers. I did not expect Ravens to trade for receiver. But looking at him, like, you know what? I think that's a good
Well, they
move.
don't. I don't really understand. Like Bateman's been fine, but he's also
Okay,
doing
but
Bateman
well.
things.
Here's the thing. Yeah, but you were before earlier on. You're like, I still think they need to get a better receiver. They need to
Yeah.
get better receivers, and now they do. But now you're like, oh, but like that was good.
No, I'm not saying. No, I'm saying Bateman before this. Like I don't view Bateman as a number 2 receiver in the league. I don't.
No, yes, yeah, they had that big play that broke my heart for my fantasy team when Bateman
That's what I'm
dropped.
saying. Like he's not like he'll make a play here or there, but it's not consistent at all. That's why like I think their receiving core was before this trade was kind of like people I think were overrating it. Like I think Zay Flowers is really good.
Zay Flowers is a 1 in my opinion. He's a
No, I
1.
think he is too. But like
And I
I
think
don't think
Deontay's a 2. And I think they have
yeah.
2 tight ends, and
That's
Bateman's
why I
a
said before.
3.
That's why I said before the trade. I thought it was overrated discussion. Like for
I
me, I
still
think
think
Bengals.
Bateman's. It helps when you have a great running game. Is the
Okay,
point?
so I thought this one yesterday, and I think this is a high risk move because this
Mhm.
player deals with injuries and struggles with consistency. But the Bengals getting Travis Etienne, and it's not like a sexy move or like a a move that like a marquee move, but I think it's something that they may have to do. Like I was thinking, pass rusher and running back for them
I don't
is
know.
what
He
they
has too
should.
many holes in his game.
Well,
That
no, that's what I'm saying. But I think they need something. What other running back are you going to get off the market right now? Like
you
who's
probably
available for
find
trade?
Raheem Mostert.
But they're not going to
Um,
trade Raheem Mostert.
why not? They have their one in
I
the.
saw they're more they're trying to trade Jeff Wilson. But I don't think they're trying to move Mostert.
I mean, yeah,
Mostert's
they're
been
not going to get
their like goal
anything for
line back.
Jeff Wilson. I mean, Jalen Wright's played well, so I think they may be able to move Mostert. I mean, Wright's averaging 5.3 carry, Mostert's averaging 3.5. I don't know what other running back, but I just don't like it. I don't know. I don't really like
It
it.
was just something I thought of. It
I mean,
wasn't something I thought was
receiver
going
ones
to
are
be.
obvious. Washington receiver, Chargers, Pittsburgh. I do think Denver's underrated. They get a nice receiver
I
that
mean, what
really
receiver that
changes
is
things.
out there now that really
That's a
moves
problem.
the needle?
Mike Williams is really the only I think Thielen is a nice guy to have. Like I think Thielen to Denver, Washington for a rookie quarterback, get a nice safety blanket type of guy. I think especially Denver because at least Daniels has Ertz and he has McLaurin. I think Falcons need a pass rusher. They have 6 sacks. Let's look how their sacks are split up. 1.5 to Grady Jarrett, who's fallen off. Judon only has 1.5. One by Onimata. One by James Smith Williams, who I couldn't tell you who that was 20 seconds ago, and one by D. Alford. So I think
Atlanta is they're going to be one and done in the playoffs. I don't even care,
they could face like Eagles, and Eagles could fall apart. And
and
I
I'll
think
take the
Kirk's
Eagles
been
against the
good.
defense.
I think Kirk's been good, and I think Drake London's been good, and Mooney's been good, and Pitts has been better, I thought, and Bijan's been good, and Algiers been good. Defense is bad.
They don't generate any pass rush
Yeah, I think Darius
at
Smith is
all.
the obvious one.
Oh yeah, Lions gain a pass rusher too. I think is something you should explore.
Yeah. I wonder if Jets lose to Texans if Son Reddick's on the market.
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder if Jets lose to Texans. Let's say they get let's just say
if
Stroud,
you're
who
gonna say
hasn't
trading
had
Devontae or something,
yeah, let's say they get
they're not doing
smacked.
it.
Let's say they get smacked, and then the owner he could just be like, get rid of them. The owner could be done with it. Who knows? Woody Johnson.
I don't see that happening. It would be another knee jerk reaction to basically what they've been doing this entire time. So I guess it's not.
Do you know
But
another one who could use a pass rusher who I think is underrated? The Cardinals. They're 4-4. McBride is maybe the second. He's one of the best receiving tight ends in football. I think he's under Marvin's starting to get it going. He had a good game, and then Kyler had 2 wins in a row, which is like unheard of. So the offense could be good. If you get a pass rusher, you could be like, could we steal this division? Arizona could go for it, but I think they need to make a move.
I don't think they make any moves. I don't think they do.
I think they should go for it. Say, you know what? Let's see what we can do. We're 4-4. We somehow beat San Fran and the Rams already. Our schedule isn't too bad. Like Chicago, Jets, bye week Seattle, Minnesota, Seattle, New England, Carolina. You face two of the worst teams of football, but then you have Rams and San Fran. So I think they should try to do something. They should try. Because if you don't try, then you're just going to go like 8-9, and you're like, oh, what do we do? They should try. And I don't like Arizona that much.
Any other teams before we move on to Week 9 picks?
No.
Those 2 segments kind of flat. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no. A little disappointing. I don't know. A lot of stuff's happened with trade deadline. I think we haven't even talked about the Chiefs traded. We recorded before Hopkins, and they got Josh Uche, or however you pronounce that.
I think those are 2 very underrated moves. Especially,
I don't
like
think the Hopkins one is underrated. I think people are talking about.
I was already about to say before you. Good God, you interrupted me.
Well, you said they're both underrated.
Okay, and then I was about to say something.
Well, I'm sorry if I had a quick reaction to that.
Okay. Well, you have a quick reaction a lot of times.
Don't say things to give me a quick reaction.
I was gonna say more specifically the Uche was underrated move. Like I think he's actually he can be a very productive pass rusher in the right system. Like he's with the Patriots who are always playing from behind, and they don't really have any other pass rushers to complement him. But now you have him, George Kalafdis, Chris Jones. I think he actually fit in the system pretty well.
No, I think the Chiefs finally could have like a rotation of guys. The wild thing is Chris Jones only has 3 sacks, and he's tied with the lead. I know it's fine, but it's wild that he is that, and he's just tied with Karlaftis for 3 sacks. So the Chiefs Chiefs are not high in sacks this year. So, and then Omenahu and Uche,
I think sacks are kind of overstated stat. I look more about like creating pressure on key downs, creating pressure in general, affecting the passer. I think sacks are great, but I think sacks are also kind of.
Do you know who has 30 sacks? Denver Broncos have 30 sacks.
Well, yeah, and that's what they're gonna have to do because they don't really have a good roster besides their defense.
But they have a great pass rush, and that has them at 5. Who's first in sacks? It's not even Pittsburgh. Who would be first? Is it the Giants?
I think it's Giants.
And Giants defense has been pretty solid, and they're first in sacks. And they have like a secondary filled with rookies. I think sacks are valuable.
Well, that's my point. You said they're valuable. That's a 2-16. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but okay, that's because they have so many more issues. But they held Minnesota to 28 week 1, Washington to 21, Browns to 15, Dallas to 20, Seattle to 20, Cincinnati to 17. Philly got 28 in a blowout. Pittsburgh got 26 where they had a punt return. And their secondary is terrible. It's not terrible, but it's not good. The offense, yeah. So I think Giants defense has been good, and Denver's 5-3 because of the sacks. So I think sacks are valuable.
You're mixing up my words. I never said they're not valuable.
I mean, sometimes though, you just got to get a sack. You can get the pressure. I think in a league where you have people like Mahomes and Lamar and Josh Allen and Burrow, you can get the pressure all you want. But if you don't get the sack, then they're just going to make a great play. So I think people are starting to underrate sacks because I think people are starting to go toward that, get the pressure. But sometimes you just need sacks. And I know that's kind of anticlimactic because I think Chris Jones is amazing. But I think the Chiefs are a whole different animal. Even though they're low in sacks, the Chiefs are a completely different animal.
Let's move on to our Week 9 picks. We'll start the Thursday night game. Texans at the Jets. Well, actually, so last week I went 11-5 in money line and spread out 7-9.
So I gained a little lead. 12-4 money line, 9-7 in spread, which I found weird because I picked Jags and Colts to cover. And
I picked the Patriots last week to cover. I had the Cardinals winning just outright. I'm trying to think of other games I had that.
The Giants got that 2-point conversion. I would have had Giants.
Yeah, I got the Pittsburgh spread right, which was pretty close. But Texans at the Jets. Jets are favored by 1.5. It was 2.5 or at 2 yesterday.
I
I don't
hate
know
this
where you got
game
it.
so much. I don't even have it written down. My pen fell under my desk, so I won't write it down till after. I'm just looking at the game. I'm just like staring at it. Like I don't know. I'm gonna take Jets. I'm gonna take Jets. I wouldn't bet a penny on it. I hate that game. I don't think Houston's that good.
Houston has a better coach, better quarterback, better defense. The only thing the Jets have is probably weapons. They have better weapons, but like the Jets defense is no longer a good unit. Now they fired Robert Saleh. Like they've been bad. Rodgers, I don't even know if he's a top 20 quarterback anymore. I'm gonna trust Stroud to figure it out with Mixon. And that's the thing with the Jets. They're a terrible run defense, and Houston's going to win games by running with Mixon. So I think they're gonna lean on Mixon in this game and then sprinkle the passing game to the limited options they have. So I think John Mechie will contribute. You have Tank Dell, you have Dalton Schultz. But I think this is a big Joe Mixon game, and I don't trust the Jets at all. I think Texans.
I don't.
You have just two really good pass rushers. Rodgers is not even looking to push the ball down the field, and they just lost to the Patriots. Like I'm not going to back them a week after losing to the Patriots on a short week. I could care less if they're at home. I'm going to take Texans this one. I
No, I don't
understand your
like my
concerns about the
pick.
Houston, but I'm taking Houston. I'm pretty confident.
I don't like my pick, but it's what I think happens.
Cowboys at the Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 2.5, and the over/under is at 52. I think that's the largest over/under of the week.
I also don't like this pick either, but I'm taking Falcons. But gosh, there's a lot of games I don't like my picks. I do not
This
like my
week,
picks.
to be honest, this week is not. There's not a lot of great games this week. There's compelling storylines within the games because of playoff picture and all that, but
Yeah,
not a lot of great matchups.
I don't really like my pick, but I got Falcons. I think Kirk Cousins playing well. I think Bijan should have a good game. Still no Micah Parsons, so pass rush won't be there. I guess Falcons. God, if they're 6-3 and Texans are 7-2, that's gonna be so stupid.
See, part of me just wants to pick the Cowboys here because they have so many games that they're not going to win on this upcoming schedule. This one really sucks because I think both quarterbacks are almost the same type of quarterback. I mean, Dak Prescott doesn't move anymore. I read a stat yesterday. He's
I
on
saw
pace
that.
he's on pace for 70 rushing yards.
Yeah, that's terrible.
He doesn't run anymore. He's not mobile anymore. I'm gonna take Falcons. I think it's more talent. I still think CeeDee Lamb's probably gonna go off because I don't think Falcons generate no pass rush at all, like we mentioned. But I think Cowboys are terrible against the run. They have Bijan. I'll take the Falcons to win this one as well. But that's a pick where I wouldn't feel good either way. I'm just taking a team because we have to take a team.
So far, I don't like my picks.
I'm confident in my first one. Dolphins at the Bills. Bills -6.
The Bills play the Dolphins well. I mean, when Tua played against the Bills last time, it was atrocious. I think the Bills' offense really rolling. You saw they had a really good game passing without Amari, but I think Amari could have a big game here. Even though I don't know if I'm going to play him in fantasy or not. But
Remember a couple weeks ago when you were like, when Amari got traded, you were like, my team.
he'll have big games and he'll have big games, he'll have bad games, and I think I just have to accept that. But I think he has a big game. He is in my lineup in my flex spot. But yeah, I like Bills. I think they should cover.
Yeah, Bills. I think they win this one pretty comfortably. Mike McDaniel's terrible against teams with winning records. I think he has like a -17-point differential, and I think that's going to happen again. I think it's going to be a game where Bills kind of win comfortably, and I don't trust Tua. I don't trust this offensive line, and I don't trust the Dolphins defense at all. So I think this is another one where the Bills kind of control from start to finish. Raiders at the Bengals. Man, these games, I'm telling you, this is a bad week of football. Raiders at the Bengals. Bengals -7.
I'll take Cincy to win, but I'm taking Raiders to cover. Raiders offense wasn't bad against the Chiefs, and I know that's division stuff, but you still have Jacoby. The offense hasn't been bad. They did some stuff against the Rams. You have Brock Bowers. Alexander Madison's been okay, so I think they should keep up. But in the end, since he's still so talented, they're going to win. If Cincy loses this game, they're done. Because if you lose to the Raiders at this point, that's just atrocious. And that means your defense got diced by the Raiders. So Raiders to cover, but I got Cincy money line.
I got Bengals to win and cover. Against losing teams, they're averaging over 35 points per game and holding their opponents at 15 points a game. And I don't think that's going to be the margin in this game. But I don't see the Raiders stopping this Bengals offense. Now, if T. Higgins is out, maybe that changes things a bit. But I don't think it's enough to change my mind about who wins this game. I think Bengals win, and I think they probably win this game. If Higgins plays, I think by 13, 14 points. If he doesn't, it's probably in the 8 to 10 range. But I'll still take them to cover.
I think for Raiders to cover, Max Crosby has to have a good game, and I think he will.
Chargers at the Browns. Chargers -2.
So I was talking up the Browns a lot, and this is another game where I think it's a good game, and I was very conflicted, but I remembered that Joe Alt and Sean Slater allowed 0 pressures last week, and I said, you know what? If Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett don't get to the quarterback a ton, Chargers should be okay. So I have Chargers winning and covering the -2. I don't love it, but I'm okay with it. I'm solid. It's solid.
Yeah, I think it's a game where Jameis comes right back down to earth. Everybody's on a Jameis Winston train, and that's exactly when he will disappoint you. It's very Derek Carr-ish. I'm gonna take the Chargers to win this game.
And that could happen too. Yeah.
I think their defense forces a couple turnovers. I mean, the only concern I really have about the Chargers is the passing game. But Ladd McConkey stepped up. Quinn Johnson was back. Was Quinn Johnson back last week? No, he was not. But they'll have Quinn Johnson, I think.
I think he should be back this week.
Okay. I think even though as not great of a player as he is, I think they need him. Even though I don't think he's that good of a player, but the fact that they need him in the offense, I think, is pretty telling that they need a receiver. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna trust Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh on this one. And I'm not gonna trust Jameis. That's why I'm taking the Chargers. Patriots at the Titans. Titans -3.5.
I got Patriots. I don't care if it's Drake May or Jacoby.
If Drake May doesn't play,
Jacoby played well against the Jets. He led a game-winning drive. Jacoby's not the worst. He's not the best, but he's not the worst. And I saw that they're possibly trying to trade for a receiver or a tackle. So I think they're trying to win some games and get May going even more. But I'll take them, and I'm going to take my risk if Drake May doesn't. If Drake May plays, I'm almost locking it in. But I think the offense is getting better. I hope Drake May play so I get this pick right because I feel so good about it if he does. I feel like a lot of people picking Patriots maybe, which may scare me, but I'm still riding with them. I feel good about it.
I mean, this is another one where I don't feel good either way. So Patriots lost another pass rusher because they traded him.
He didn't play last week though.
That's true. Oh my god! I didn't write this one down. I didn't have time to write I forgot to write these games down, so I'm making my picks right now as I'm looking at them. It's tough because I don't know the Patriots quarterback situation right now. Like Pittsburgh said, I'm taking Titans. I'm going to take the Patriots as well. I haven't taken any. I've only had, I think, one upset pick, and that was the Texans because they're not favored in that game, even though I don't think that's technically an upset pick. I'll take Patriots in this one, but I don't feel great about it. I'm not confident at all.
If it's Drake May, I feel so good about it.
Commanders at the Giants. Commanders are favored by 3.5.
Also, I saw this right before the deep balls. I guess this was through week 8. Drake May is one of the best in the league. Is that accuracy wise? I think it's accuracy wise. Yeah, Caleb's one of the worst, so it's interesting. But what was the game again? I saw a stat. And,
Commanders at Giants. Commanders -3.5.
Oh, I think this will actually be a good game. Giants and Commanders was a good game last time they played. Giants kicked a lot of field goals, which they kick a lot of field goals. That's their problem. If the Giants had 3 more touchdowns this year, they could be 4-5 or 4-4, which is wild. That's why I almost picked them as the best 2-win team. They just need to score some more touchdowns, field goals. But I think Daniels is so good. I got Commanders to win and cover, but I think it'll be a compelling game.
I think Commanders win. I think they cover. I think this is going to be a comfortable win. You said the Giants played well the last time. That's because they were on the road. Daniel Jones is terrible at home. Doesn't throw touchdown passes. I
It's a
don't know if
day
Tyron
game at home,
Tracy.
though. Day game at
That's
home.
great. That's fantastic. Tyron Tracy, I don't think he's going to be playing. He has a concussion. I think as long as they stop the run game, Daniel Jones won't do anything. So I'm going to take Commanders. And you talk about Commanders defense being underrated. We may see Drew Lock in this game.
Nah, Daniel Jones play okay.
Saints at the Panthers. Saints are -7.
I'm picking the underdogs in these 1-win versus 2-win teams. Give me the Panthers, man. I know they didn't do a lot against Denver, but again, that's like possibly the best defense in football. Now you're facing Saints team. It is a little scary if Carr comes back, but you got rid of Deontay. My boy Jalen Coker, who, if he turns out to be a really good receiver, Logan will never hear the end of it because I was even. You gotta trust Steve Smith on these things, man. Steve Smith knows what he's talking about. Trust Steve Smith on receivers. But I see an upset here. They're probably gonna throw some people out there to audition to trade. Maybe Thielen has a good game. See if Thielen, Coker legit. Saints team is just they've lost so many in a row. Get +7's a lot. It's a lot. Give me the Panthers, man. Bryce Young or Dalton. I don't even know who's playing quarterback, but give me the Panthers.
So last time these two played, I believe the Saints won 44-10. I believe in week 1.
47-10. Yeah, that was bad. I also picked
47-10.
Panthers that one.
I'm going to take Saints to win, but I think the Panthers cover. And this is another one I don't feel great about at all. Like this could be another blowout. Derek Carr may play, but I think at some point, I mean, they just traded Deontay Johnson, but at some point, these Panthers players have to play with some pride.
Maybe Jonathan Brooks this week.
Maybe. I mean, no. I don't feel comfortable about picking Panthers to cover any game. But I think Derek Carr's going to play this game as well. But I don't trust the Saints a lot. I think it's going to be a Kamara game. A lot of dump offs to Kamara. I think this game I will not be watching. We better not have this on Sunday Ticket on Sunday.
Well, let's see how many games are there.
These are all noon games so far.
Yeah, are they all noon games so far?
So far, we're about to talk about the last noon game.
It could be on there.
I hope to God not. Broncos at the Ravens. Ravens favored by 9.5.
I'm going to take Broncos. I think Ravens throughout the game have a good lead. I'm going to take Broncos to cover. One, because of defense. Why do I think that's a ridiculous pick? There's a reason it's a line.
Because based on your
it's supposed to be
–
okay, but let me explain. It's supposed to be 50-50, Logan. It's supposed to be a 50-50 bet. That's the whole point of it. Each odds being -110. I like Denver, Logan. You know I like Denver. I think 9.5 is a lot for a team with the best defense in football and for an offense who just had its best passing game of the season against a secondary who has some struggles. So why can't Broncos cover 9.5? Bo Nix, I think it'll be like Broncos be down 7 to 17 points throughout the whole game, but I think they end up within 10 points or within 9 points.
Ravens at home. I think it's going to be a blowout game. I'm taking the Ravens to cover. I think this kind of game, this is another game where everybody's on the Bo Nix train. He'll come back down to earth. Ravens just had a bad loss. I think they're going to lean on Derrick Henry more this game. They get Deontay Johnson in the passing game. And I just don't trust Bo Nix. And you can't run the Ravens either, which means they're going to have to lean on Bo Nix even more. I like the Ravens in this one pretty big. I think it's going to be a blowout win for the Ravens.
Why do you think the Ravens offense is just going to march up and down the field, though? This is the best defense in football.
That's great. But I'm going to take Lamar and Derrick Henry off a loss with adding Deontay Johnson. I just explained myself.
No, but saying blowout is insinuating the offense goes nuts, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and I also think Bo Nix turns over the ball. I don't think he plays well against bad teams and doesn't really do much against good teams. So
But this is not a great secondary.
and Baltimore is also a very tough place to play. It's funny how you now say it's not a great secondary, but all
It's
these
not.
leagues
I
covered.
said that earlier. It wasn't great secondary.
Okay, but there's talent in this. My thing with the Ravens
Yeah,
defense
and
is I
I
don't think
think
it's a talent issue. I think it's a coaching and schematics issue.
no, it's not. Yeah, but it's not playing
So
great. And
okay, but
I like
I'm
Bo
going to
Nix.
take okay, but I'm gonna take the Ravens at home to blow
Yeah,
out. I don't know why you're
but
trying to change my opinion.
because you're the one who did when I picked my pick for a 50-50 thing. So if you didn't have that reaction, I wouldn't have my reaction.
Okay, I like the Ravens to win this one comfortably at home. First of the 3 o'clock games, there's actually quite a few 3 o'clock games this week. I think there's 4. Sometimes it's only like 2 or 3. Jaguars at the Eagles. Eagles minus 7.5. No, I don't think Brian Thomas, I guess, may play in this one, but you don't have Christian Kirk. I don't know about Gabe Davis. I don't know about ETN. There's a lot of injuries on the Jacksonville side of the ball.
I did not even know Gabe Davis was hurt. That's funny. I just knew there. That's wild. But Doug Pearson said he should be fine to play. The fact that Doug Pearson has been, I guess they just compete against the Packers. But if you don't, if you have Brian Thomas, I'm very compelled to say plus 7.5. But I think even if he plays, he's going to be hurt. And if he doesn't play, so I'm going to take Eagles minus 7.5. But Brian Thomas is playing. I'm going to be worried about that pick a lot.
Yeah, it's just tough to pick the Eagles in these large spread games. I'm gonna take Eagles to win, but I think Jaguars cover, and it doesn't mean I think Jaguars are gonna threat the Eagles at all. But I'll take the Eagles to win this one. I'm gonna trust Jalen Hurts a bit in this one. I think that the Eagles have leaned on the run game a lot, and I think Jaguars defense is terrible. They can't really stop anything. I'm gonna take Philly at home to win this game, but I think Jaguars slightly cover. They may cover by half a point. Bears at the Cardinals. Cardinals are fair by 1 point, so basically a pick 'em.
I like Cardinals shouldn't win 3 in a row. Bears should bounce back. That's about my only argument there.
Yeah, I'll take the Bears as well. Really good defense. I don't really trust Kyler. Arizona hasn't allowed any sacks the last 2 weeks, but I think that's also Kyler making a lot of plays with his feet. I don't think that means offensive line's playing that well. I think Bears, they got embarrassed based on that play last week. I think they're going to be more concentrated this week. I'll take the Bears. I think they kind of bounce back a bit. I think Caleb kind of gets back on his feet a little bit. I'll take the Bears win. This could be a low-scoring game, though. It could be like 23-20 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think either team's going to be lining up the scoreboard. Lions at the Packers. Lions are favored by 3.5, which I was kind of shocked that they're – I know Jordan Love may still play, but I don't think he's going to play with the team on a bye next week.
I mean, the Lions are just playing way too good of football. They're playing so good. I can't pick against them when the Packers have a little quarterback thingy. So yeah, I'm taking Lions minus 3.5.
Yeah, I'll also take Lions minus 3.5. I don't think Jordan Love ends up playing this one. And even if he does play, I mean, he's throwing an interception every game. So I think in the Lions, I just don't know.
And I think
Jair Alexander's also
first in interceptions.
Who? The Lions?
Lions. They have a ton.
I mean, maybe. I think, and also Jair Alexander's also banged up.
Second.
I'll take the Lions this one. I don't know if there's any team right now that's gonna be able to stop what the Lions do offensively because they can run the ball, they can throw the ball. And I mean, this is a huge game. This is probably one of the only good games of the week.
The Lions are second in interceptions with 10. Their corners don't have one. Kirby Joseph has 5. Brian Branch has 4, and then Trevor Nowoski, their linebacker, has 1. That's funny. Their safeties are nuts.
Pretty weird stat. Next game, Rams at the Seahawks. Rams fair by 1.5. This is another line I don't really understand.
Packers also have 10 picks. I think this is going to be my weekly bet. I love the Rams.
What's your weekly bet called again?
No. I love the Rams. O-line's playing well. Receivers are playing well. Seattle is not a good football team, as I've said, and I think I'm nearly close to being 100% proven right on that. I don't care their record. They are not good at football. Yeah, I like Rams. I like Rams a lot. This is a lock. I'm locked. It's a lock.
Yeah, I like Rams a lot too. Sean McVay, really good head coach. They're finally healthy. And the Rams have pretty good success against Seattle since
Hmm.
Geno Smith's been the quarterback. So I like the Rams in this one. I'm shocked that the line's only 1.5. I think that's a pretty locked in. Like I usually only bet money lines unless I'm betting like teams to cover, but I may bet the spread straight up as well.
Hmm.
Sunday night, this game got a bit more interesting because of the benching of Anthony Richardson. Colts at the Vikings. Minnesota minus 5.5. It was Minnesota minus 7 before
Hmm.
the Richardson news.
I changed it. I scratched it out. You can. I'm not even gonna show it. I scratched it out.
can't
I
see
had
it.
Colts at plus 5.5, and Minnesota winning. But I changed it to just Minnesota minus 5.5 because, like, I think Flacco will have his moments. But I also remember the last Titans game; he looked bad at points, and I think it'll be a high scoring one for sure. But I don't think Colts can stop Minnesota, and you get Hawkinson back. So yeah, I have Minnesota minus 5.5.
Yeah, I Minnesota minus 5.5 as well. I think if they lose this game, they're in a world of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I think losing this game would be a massive problem for Minnesota going into his last back half of the season. But yeah, I don't like you said, Joe Flacco. I still don't trust Joe Flacco entirely. I still think he has that kind of gunslinger in him, and it could cost him this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take Vikings minus 5.5 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Last game of the week, Monday night, Buccaneers at the Chiefs. A couple weeks ago, this looked like a pretty compelling game,
Mm-hmm.
but now no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Chiefs favored by 9.
9 points is a lot for the Chiefs right now, who are the best team in football, but still have only won one game by more than 10. Yeah, and they beat the Niners by 10. I'm going to take Tampa to cover, but Chiefs to win. It's just Baker's the offense. I know they plays the Falcons, but he's still got some stuff going. Still through some picks as usual, but Mahomes will probably throw a pick. So Tampa to cover.
This is a classic backdoor cover. I think Chiefs
Yeah,
will have pretty
yeah.
much control the entire game, but you can't run the Chiefs. So Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, they're not going to do much in this
Oh, they're going to
one.
get so many catches, though. Oh, my
No,
goodness.
yeah, it's going to be a lot of catches out of the backfield. I think Chiefs are going to control this one at home on prime time. I think they'll be up pretty comfortably. I don't think they ever
Yeah,
get to like the 20-point margin because they just don't really do much offensively, but they could be up by 10, 13 points and then backdoor cover by Tampa Bay
yeah,
late. Kind of similar to what we saw in the Raiders game, but I'm
exactly.
not really worried about the Chiefs in this one at all. I think Chiefs
Yeah.
win and Bucks probably just get backdoor cover on last drive, garbage time.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I would say we had a lot of similar picks. I don't know if we really. I think
Yeah.
the only one
Why
that I
do we have
remember
so
us
many similar
disagreeing on,
opinions this week? What's happening?
the only one that we disagreed on top of my head, is the Texans
Cincy
game,
Raiders spread, Texans game, but I
Broncos
don't even like
spread.
Jets.
Yeah, you
I don't
picked
even
them.
like Jets.
So
I picked Panthers to
that's
win.
your problem. Uh, Broncos
Gosh, we
Ravens
were
we
way
disagree
too
on the
similar
spread.
this week.
Broncos
What?
Ravens we disagree on the spread.
Yeah. Disagreed on like 4 spreads and 2 money lines.
Yeah. Well, last time we didn't disagree on much. We went 27-1 combined on the money line.
That
So
all the favorites won, and that was a weird week.
yeah,
I don't
that's true.
like this week though. But I
That's
didn't
true.
like that week. I didn't like that week. I did
Yep.
not like it.
Well, that will do it for our episode this week. We'll be back next week with week 9 reactions and possibly more trades happening. We record the day after the trade deadline, so which is next Tuesday. So we'll probably have some recap of the trade deadline. And of course, we'll also give our week 10 picks. But until then, make sure to follow the channel, subscribe, and also listen to us on Spotify.
Peace.